Madam Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity, and I hope you'll indulge me to allow me speak for about 10 minutes. I am the leader. Why are you anxious?
Other members,
And I want to,
other members, in my discretion, the leader of majority and minority will each have 10 minutes.
Yeah. Madam Speaker, and I want to actually help reduce the temperatures. But let me start by saying this, that sometimes when I sit here and listen to members speak, I really get amazed. You know, Madam Speaker, I have seen members right from the 11th Parliament who were then very supportive of these kind of atrocities by the police. Come the 12th Parliament, they were here crying, and they cried throughout. Now, Madam Speaker, now come the 13th Parliament, they have gone back to their 11th Parliament position. Madam Speaker, let me say this. You can defend and protect a monster which will eventually devour you. Madam Speaker, I can remember vividly on the floor of this House sometime in 2014 when there were attempts to remove powers from the National Police Service Commission and vest them in the IG of Police. I stood here and warned members, but I have since been vindicated. Madam Speaker, let me say this again. In this country, there were times under the previous constitutional dispensation when you could not even get a chance not only to demonstrate, but even to meet publicly. There were times in this country when you could not even speak freely on the floor of this House. Madam Speaker, the Constitution of Kenya 2010 is a product of a very, very long and painful struggle. Madam Speaker, and that Constitution is known the world over for its robust and elaborate Bill of Rights, one of which is the right to demonstrate, to picket, and to do whatever you want to do under Article 37. Madam Speaker, no authority or no person has got the power to suspend the operation of Article 37 of the Constitution. Madam Speaker, let me say this, that in this country, it has now become commonplace that demonstrations of whatever kind, especially the ones that are currently underway, are always peaceful until and unless the police intervene with brute force. That is a fact. Madam Speaker, and let me also say this, and if you care to listen, please listen to me. Madam Speaker, it will be a very sad day if our country were to be allowed to slide to the status of those failed states that we know of. And why do I say so? Madam Speaker, as we speak, and I'm speaking from a point of knowledge, Madam Speaker, as we speak, there seems to be parallel commands in the police service. There seems to be parallel command structures in the National Police Service because of all the persons who have recently been killed. Nearly all of them have been killed by officers, first and foremost in plain clothes. Secondly, they seem to report to nobody, Madam Speaker. But thirdly, they seem to be part of a militia which has been enlisted to rain terror on a helpless citizenry, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if we allow this culture of militia, culture of goons, culture of thuggery to permeate the National Police Service, which we support, Madam Speaker, we shall be setting very dangerous precedents.
What is out of order? Member for Dagoretti South.
Madam Speaker, I've got utmost respect for the leader of minority, and I was keen to listen through to his speech so that I can respond when I get an opportunity. However, it would be wrong for the leader of majority to misguide this house, and also the leader of minority to misguide this house by giving information that is not true. I'm sure the leader of majority will not be able to substantiate the fact that there are two centers of command for the police, because it is very clear what the chain of command for the police in Kenya is. Secondly, the leader is claiming that there is a militia. In I get an opportunity to speak, I will talk about the anatomy of a demonstration. When the demonstration...
Do not debate.
The leader must substantiate where that militia is, under whose command the militia is, and why they think that they can benefit from a mischief that they manufacture themselves and come to this house to cry crocodile tears.
Do not debate, Honorable KJ. That is a point of debate.
No, Madam Speaker, I said from the outset that I will try to be very, very cautious and temperate in my address. Madam Speaker, it is not for me to investigate militia. That can't be my work. Not long ago, I heard a member say here that those who have been killed were not killed by police. Then it means they were killed by non-police persons who could only be part of a militia. Yeah, so whoever is responsible can investigate for us and tell us who are these militia. Madam Speaker, let me say this, that if you want to make this country retain its status in the community of nations, we must be very careful about what is happening currently. And the National Police Service has over the years been known to be a service of repute. It cannot be allowed to descend to the level it is currently descending. Madam Speaker, you cannot accuse hapless and armed citizens who are going about exercising their right under Article 37 of the Constitution, and who, having been provoked by water cannons, by tear gas, by police truncheons, by bullets, defend themselves. Because the right to defense is also acknowledged, not only nationally, but also internationally. Madam Speaker, today we are talking about people throwing stones in defense of their rights to demonstrate. One day, they may graduate from stones to something else. That is when you will realize that peace is a very precious commodity, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Gatanga is daring me to try. I think he doesn't know me. But let me tell you, Madam Speaker, this country has witnessed what has never been witnessed in the past 4 regimes. I have been lucky to live through those 4 regimes. Madam Speaker, the kind of brutality that has been meted out on innocent and armed citizens in the last couple of months is unprecedented. Those of us who lived under Jomo Kenyatta and lived under Daniel Moi, lived under Mwai Kibaki, lived under Uhuru Kenyatta are amazed at the kind of brutality that is being encouraged by officialdom. Madam Speaker, I said yesterday, and I want to repeat it today here, that you may gloat, you may be happy that this injustice is being meted against your so-called opponents. But tomorrow, the same injustice will be meted against you. And I can tell you again that however long it takes, the authors of these atrocities, the givers of command, the commanders of these atrocities, the planners of these atrocities will have to be held to account, Madam Speaker. It might take 10 years, it might take 20 years or 30 years or even 100 years, Madam Speaker. We are aware, we know of people who have been tried and convicted posthumously, Madam Speaker. And that will happen one day. So for us, therefore, to move forward as a country, to move forward as a country. The issues the people are demonstrating against are not about Raila Odinga. They cannot be issues about Raila Odinga. Kenyans are simply tired. Kenyans are simply feeling overburdened. Kenyans are simply feeling pushed to the wall by unjust taxes, by punitive taxes that have been imposed by this regime. So Kenyans are in their right to demonstrate against those unjustified taxation measures. And that is what Kenyans are doing. They will do it today, they will do it tomorrow, they will do it tomorrow part one, and they will do it up next year, whether Raila Odinga is involved or not. And therefore, this unnecessary obsession with one Raila Odinga must stop forthwith. Don't be overly obsessed with Raila Odinga. Deal with the problems that we have in the country. Once you are in power, regardless of how you came to power, it is your duty to solve Kenyan problems, not to scapegoat. Stop scapegoating. Deal with the problems of Kenyans. Stop scapegoating. Stop blaming Raila. Stop blaming Uhuru. And those who are talking about retirement.
Honorable Ruto, Honorable Sergon, Honorable Mureu. Order.
No, leave them for me. I'll deal with them. I can handle them. Madam Speaker, the solution to the current problem is not scapegoating. Face the problems squarely. If I were in power, I would deal with those problems. I would. Okay? But once your policies have failed or seem to be failing, stop venting your anger on helpless and armed Kenyan youth. Those youth you are killing require jobs, not bullets. Those youth that you are killing using the police and the militia require jobs that you promised them. Stop killing them. That is the message Kenyans are sending to you, Kenya Kwanza, Madam Speaker. And that message will be sent to you whether Raila Odinga is involved or not, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me end by saying this. You cannot solve a governance problem by using strong arm tactics, by deploying the police to hunt leaders. No amount of arrests, no amount of incarceration, no amount of intimidation can silence Kenyans, I can tell you. And you have got no enough space in the prisons to jail everybody. You can't. And you have got no enough bullets to kill all Kenyans. I can tell you. You will kill some today, and those who remain will continue to remind you of your failures. So you better go back, relax, and start governing for the time you are in power, before we remove you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yeah.
Order.